What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Soul, aka My Name's Not Lemon. Welcome to episode 2 of Melancholia N Haloes. That's right, episode 2. That means we ain't no one-hit wonder. We didn't upload once and fade off. We in this shit for the long run. So for today's theme of the episode, it's going to be about first times. I'm going to be discussing my first time with a guy, my first time dating, and my first time really coming to terms and realizing what self-love is. So we'll start from the beginning. Dating. I started dating last year for the first time, January of 2020. So as we know, 2020 was a rough year. So maybe it wasn't the perfect time to date. But I think for a beginner, someone who had no experience in it and was very much extremely ignorant and naive, I think it came at a good time for me. It allowed for baby steps and taking at ease. Or so I thought. So I'm dating in the gay community. I'm not too sure how it differs from the straight community and how straight men and straight women are and how they interact. But for the gay community, I think I was able to pick up on things relatively quickly. It seems that a lot of men in the community really wear their hearts on their sleeves, and because we all experience similar traumas and difficulties in society and fitting in and microaggressions, that I think you can, I don't want to say easily tell, but I do think those traumas are pretty obvious in our community and very, very apparent in dating. So quickly I caught on to a lot of internal hatred and having that hatred projected out onto others, racism, and overall sexual and intimate desperation. Very desperate. Now, of course, depending on what platform you're trying to use to date or to initiate an intimate connection, it will differ, slightly here and there. So I did use dating app Bumble and Tinder, which I think are owned by the same company, but the apps seem to be pretty different in my opinion. I had a way better time on Bumble than on Tinder. It seems like Tinder is more of a place to get external validation, a place where you would go on to show off your body and your physical self and fish for compliments, for people to tell you how attractive and sexy and desirable that you are, and to hook up. And maybe more of a less sleazy way than would be Grindr, which Grindr is a gay hookup app. And on that app, it is predominantly extremely sexual. Ooh, they fighting out there. Oh my gosh. Yo, that spikes my motherfucking anxiety. I'm like, you can't see me, like, fuck that shit. If the interruption does make it into this video, my family had went out to go swimming and stuff with family, and they knocked on the door and had to open the door for them because they forgot something. And then they started fighting over there. Anyways, with Grindr culture, I think comes plain and simple, what do you want in terms of sex? And so it seems there are many people on there that are very, very comfortable laying out their preferences. And I'm not too sure that they understand what a preference is. So very blatantly, they will put on their profiles, no Asians, no black people, no Hispanics, and label that as a preference. Sweetheart. What? What? Clearly you are discriminating against people of certain skin tones, skin colors, features, eye shapes, noses, mouths, body types. It's intense. Also a lot of, feminine gaze. There's a really big thing in the gay community where gay men are looking to date straight men. Now, I'm not too sure if that is because we were raised in a society that was built for straight people. So when we are catered to in mass media, it's catered towards straight women. So all of the men you see and that are represented are straight men. And they act straight and carry themselves in a straight and masculine manner. So I'm not too sure if we internalize that and that's what we look for as well. But it's a lot of hatred amongst ourselves in terms of being flamboyant and colorful, and the way we express ourselves and the way we dress, the way we act. And it leaves a lot of people alone because they do not want to date gay men with themselves being gay men. We need gay validation, we need gay love, because a straight man will not be able to give you what you desire and need because they are not gay. So that went off on a little bit of a tangent, but that's what I got from being on Grindr. And was and still am usually just looking for a conversation. I just want to talk with people and get to know people and try to make friends. And on Grindr, well, on all of those social medias to be honest, but specifically on Grindr, men would really be taken aback to the way I would speak because I spoke so casually and confidently and very much presented myself as I am now, as me. And they did not know how to react to that. They would say it was weird, a little bit off-putting, but refreshing. And it would lead to good conversation for the day we would match. And, fast forward to the next day and the day after. And they wanted to continue that conversation to the full extent that we had it the first day, when I had time to communicate and time to talk. And if I were busy and unable to communicate, then it was taken as a personal attack. Why aren't you communicating? Where are you? You're ghosting me. And I didn't understand that at first, and I felt very, very guilty and would try my best to always communicate and always be on top of it, and anytime a notification came up, no matter what I was doing, I had to reply. And then it turned into us, communicating for, 3 days or so, and it was when are we going to meet up? Let's meet up. No, thank you. I don't understand why it's a requirement to meet up in person so quickly. Like, why can't there be a connection or a bond, a friendship formed virtually first? And if you would give that response, a no, sometimes the response you got back was very aggressive. Or it was a, yeah, I understand, I'm looking for the same of friendship. And then it would get aggressive. Or it would turn sexual. They're looking for something more out of that conversation or out of that connection because I'm a good conversationalist and I listen. Which was another thing I had trouble understanding because I had stated from the jump that nothing sexual was going to happen. And it seems like these men wouldn't be able to control themselves. They couldn't help themselves. Maybe because it's something that we crave and want and need. And once it's in front of you and it seems like a good candidate, a good connection, a good interest, you just can't help yourself but jump the gun. I found myself acting accordingly after some time using that app because that's what everyone was doing, so I thought that's what I too had to do. And it took me a while to realize that's not the way I wanted to conduct myself, and it's not the experiences that I wanted to have. And I stopped. And once I did stop and reverted back to how I was before when I started, it allowed me to have a way better experience and a better time. But going through that experience allowed me to learn from my mistakes and the mistakes of others. And it allowed me to be able to accurately depict myself the way I wanted to and conduct myself in the way I wanted to be respected and how I wanted people to conduct themselves with me. So, very quickly I realized Grindr maybe wasn't the best place to go if you weren't looking for a hookup, a one-time thing. So I tried Tinder. And Tinder seemed to be very much physically based in body. Very much, look at how much I work out, look at how attractive I am. Look at me and tell me I'm beautiful. Now, that's not a bad thing in any way, shape, or form. I hate working out. I know how much time and effort it takes. So go ahead and be proud of yourself. Be proud of what you've accomplished. And show yourself off. Be sexy, Be confident. But is that all that you have to offer? Where's the personality? Where's the pizzazz? Where's the interest? Where's the meat and bones to grab onto? So I quickly learned from Tinder that that's more of a superficial dating app. Where on Grindr, it's more, let's get down to the nitty gritty, the nasty. Tinder's more of the, I want some eye candy. I want that trophy husband by my side. So I lost interest with that one as well. Which brings me to Bumble. Now, I personally have had a great time on Bumble. I really like the layout of the app, and I like the way the users on there are more than I do Tinder. It's a little bit more difficult because I feel as though Tinder does have a larger audience, which means more potential matches. And if you're from the gay community, or if you've experienced dating in the gay community, you would know that the dating pool is relatively small. And it depends on your location, which will make it even smaller. Then it depends on your preferences, whether that's age or just who you're attracted to. Makes that even smaller. And then who's single? Make that even smaller. So it is a little bit difficult to date and difficult to find someone at any given time. So it might make dating a little bit daunting, maybe a little bit discouraging. But it's something that has to be done for us, or what other options do we have? You know, dating apps aren't the most glamorous and they kind of suck at times, but what other options do we have? So I gave Bumble a shot, and I decided to present myself very honestly. I am nerdy. I like nerdy stuff. I like nerdy people. I'm open-minded. I'm emotionally intelligent. I am this, that, and another. And the pictures I posted, I thought, you know, in some of them I was looking real good. I was looking like a whole fucking $1.99, honey. I was looking mighty fine. And in other pictures, I looked like a total dork. And those pictures were important to me because they showed my sense of humor and my little dorky-ish side and how I do present myself honestly. And so my matches, I thought, really reflected my profile. And the people that I got really reflected what I wrote in my bio and what I answered in the questions they give you to answer. And my pictures. It was a bit difficult when maybe your ideal looking man isn't what you attract. It could be a little bit discouraging, and you might want to change your profile around to better attract who you want to suit. But if you want someone authentic, and you want someone who has a higher chance of vibing with who you really are, I think it's really important to stick to your guns and to showcase yourself the way you want to be showcased. So in my experience, I quickly realized maybe some people weren't reading my bios and were just going off of my pictures, which is okay. I am a white looking man. I am a white man. European features, right? So I am going to get people that are attracted to that. And I did. So my dating experience has mostly been with people that are very much attracted to the white male aesthetic, which in America is not unheard of course. It's not something that's revolutionary, but it is something that I've never experienced before. I've always heard, jokes, you love the white man, the yellow fever for liking predominantly Asian people, which I don't know how appropriate that is. Jungle fever, again, don't know how appropriate that term is, but of liking predominantly black people or dark-skinned people. And growing up Hispanic and around Hispanic people and in Hispanic culture, I, of course, like Hispanic people. And I'm now able to realize a lot of the faults I thought I had growing up, trying to connect with my culture and my people, being light-skinned, being white, and, not being able to tan, and not being able to speak Spanish. I always wanted to at least look more Hispanic. I wanted darker skin, or at least the ability to tan. I wanted to be bigger. Not necessarily because people of our culture are bigger, but I used to get picked on a lot for being scrawny and for being pale and made fun of and joked at. So I grew up hating the color of my skin, and I grew up hating my scrawny build. And that translated to me finding people that are the opposite of what I look like attractive. So when it comes to preferences in that case, I understand. If you aren't really attracted to the European features, I understand. If you find deeper skin tones more attractive and it's what you usually gravitate towards, I understand. If you find, muscular, chubby, or fat people more attractive than thin people, I understand. But with preferences, I think it's very important to note that though I do tend to maybe double take people that have those specific features that I desire, I'm not ruling out anyone that is white, pale, thin. And if you find yourself being totally disgusted, or the thought of being with someone like that aren't your preferences weirds you out and you just can't see it, I think you need to take a deeper look at yourself, because there's something wrong. Touching a little bit more on what we talked about with Grindr and the preferences, if you have a kind of distaste or hatred, that's not a preference. Something is the matter. So in my case, if a white, thin person try to flirt me up and hit me up, what's up, baby? If I was repulsed, there's an issue, right? So if you have a black person hitting you up and you're like, what the fuck? Like, no. There's an issue, right? You can have took, for me, as I just explained, a little bit of my background and my upbringing and why I'm attracted to the people I'm attracted to. You can probably, theorize that I have self-hatred for myself and the way I look, so I hate other people that look like me. Luckily, that's not the case, but for some people, I do think it is, and it takes a deeper understanding of yourself to start healing yourself. So if you are a person that can relate to what I'm saying, I would say take some time to really reflect and allow yourself to really think. And don't be afraid to think those very negative thoughts and those shameful and embarrassing feelings. Don't run away from them. If you face them head on, you'll have an easier time understanding the issues at hand. So this can go for all people, not necessarily people of the LGBT community or the gay community or whatever community that you are a part of. But it's very, very important. So I think because I grew up, in LA County, I'm from Long Beach, had many friends of many backgrounds. I grew up in the early 2000s, which black culture, Hispanic culture, so like late 90s, early 2000s, so Hispanic culture was really, really huge and popular in mainstream media. Black culture was really huge and popular, and the Chinese and Japanese aesthetics were very popular. So I grew up with all of that influencing me. And so, of course this is all Hollywood's anticipation. What the hell? Of course this is all Hollywood's interpretation of these people and these cultures. But I can't lie and say that I wasn't influenced by them. So, growing up with the CW and watching, the black families on there, and growing up with, Jackie Chan and, Rush Hour and his cartoon, and, Jake Long, was the Dragon Warrior, Shaolin Monks, and ninjas and samurais, Samurai Jack, and being told that these cultures valued honor and integrity, strength. As a young me, with no really parental guidance, I turned to the media for structure. And so I myself took these ideals and applied them for myself and held myself to those standards. And because of that, I think I really grew a liking for people of different cultures and admired them and loved them. So now that I am an adult and dating and looking for sexual partners, I can look to all cultures and find them attractive and appealing and worthy of my love and respect. Now, we're all different, and maybe some people don't see that as the same. I know I grew up with a lot of Hispanic people that didn't want to date outside of their race and outside of their culture. They did not want to bring anyone that wasn't Hispanic into their lives and around their families because they didn't think they'd be able to understand their people and their ways of life and their ways of living and their morals and their values. I also think that they were scared of the racism that they would experience by their family members by bringing in someone outside of their race. For me in particular, I just don't think that my family was stable enough to install those beliefs into me. So we can touch on this in another episode, of course, if you want to know about my upbringing and how I was raised and the experiences that I went through that made me the person I am today. But to make a long story short, I was very isolated my entire life, and I only had me and the media that I consumed. So I feel like I'm kind of a blank slate. I had nobody to tell me who to love and who was worthy. I will give that to anybody and everyone. And so that brings me to my dating experience. Of course, I had, these preferences, a certain look that I really admired. But it doesn't mean that was it was written in stone. Like, it was that or nothing. So I had a really good time dating. I was able to talk to a lot of different people from a lot of different cultures and backgrounds and looks. And I feel like because I was authentically myself, people really gravitated towards that, and it allowed me to have a good time. So, the start of my journey, I had matched with this man. We could touch on this on another episode as well. But to fast forward, I was ghosted. And I took it very hard. I didn't understand what I did wrong. I thought maybe I was ugly. And I was unworthy. In the beginning of my journey, I had thought you were required to send nudes, be sexual, talk about your sexual preferences right off the bat. I thought that was normal and a thing you had to do in order to date in the gay community. I do now know that that is not the case. And people who try to force your hand in that matter, move on. It's not worth it. So, I thought that I was ugly and unworthy because we did exchange nudes and I was ghosted. So fast forward maybe 3 weeks after, I match with a man on Bumble. And he seems to be my type. Us gay men, we love the masculine. To me, what I really find attractive and what I really look at are faces and style. Style plays a huge role for whatever reason, but not to go too off tangent, but I was talking to a friend, and he had pointed out to me, he was like, hey, I think this was probably about like 3 years ago now. I think you are looking for yourself. When you're dating and your preferences, I think you're looking for you. And I thought that was super funny, but the more I thought about it, it kind of scared me because I realized I think he was correct. The type of style that I'm attracted to is the type of style that I have. The type of demeanors that I like and interests are me. So that was a real big eye-opener to me. And maybe it just means how comfortable I am with myself and how confident. But it's something that I've taken, that's always been in the back of my head now since he told me that. And so it looked like his style kind of matched my own and what I was attracted to and what I grew up with. So I was really digging it. A very laid back, simplistic, masculine-y style. Whereas I think I jumped around from a bunch of different styles and dressed very smartsy, flamboyant-y, lot colorful patterns. I was into like a very UK style for a while. And then my style kind of chilled out and I became more of the simplistic, solid colors and the baggier pants. The sportswear, the fucking athletic shorts, honey. Ugh. I'm a sucker. A pure sucker. And so, kind of, that's what I'm attracted to and it's what I like. And this man seemed to embody that. And we started talking and conversation went really, really well. And we introduced ourselves. His name is Kevin. So like, hey Kevin, like what's good? We started talking and we talked often. Our conversations moved to FaceTime and everything went really well. We were talking for maybe like 3 days and he was like, hey, we should meet up. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it, let's meet up. Like, what is there to be afraid of? Now, at this time, I do have anxiety and depression, both mild, and again, we can go over the topic in another episode if you'd like, let me know. But 2019, I was hit really, really badly with anxiety and depression, and I had no idea what it was, what it meant, and what to do. So fast forward to the beginning of 2020, this is around February, I was in a way better mental state and I came to a lot of realizations and I was really excited to put, my one foot forward and to start living life and not being afraid of the possibilities, of the unknowns. So I was like, yeah, let's meet up. Fast forward a couple days. It's the night before we're supposed to meet, Thursday night. I get mild food poisoning. We go to, can I say the name? A popular chili cheese dog fast food place. And I get sick. So I text him and I'm like, I'm not feeling well. I think I have mild food poisoning. It's not going good. He proceeds to gaslight me, which at the time I didn't understand. Now I know better. And he tells me, you're ghosting me, you don't want to see me, this, that, and another. And I was just previously ghosted myself, so I understood what that felt like, and I felt extremely bad and extremely guilty. And though I try to reassure him, do you hear that? Though I tried to reassure him, nothing was working. This cat, man. Okay. Because I wasn't able to reassure him that I wasn't standing him up, I wasn't ghosting him, I agreed to meet up the next day. And this meetup wasn't just we're gonna hang out for the first time. It was a hookup. It's what he wanted. It's what I thought I wanted and wanted to. I just wanted to experience and experiment and find my own. So, the day comes. We meet up. And the first thing he says when he sees me, "You're not 5'9". Well, hello to you too, motherfucker. Damn. I was like, shit. I mean, I slouch a little bit, but if I stand up straight, baby, I'm 5'9". Shit. This is when I started to... This was my first experience into the height epidemic. I need me a 6 feet, 6'1", 6'2". Bitch. So... I think in the gay community, height is seen as masculinity. The taller you are, the more masculine you are. You can protect me. You can save me from the... Just because he's tall, don't mean he can fucking handle his own. If he ain't got no motherfucking hands, he ain't gonna do shit. Anyways. So that's the first thing he says to me. I'm like, okay. Like, I am. Maybe I'm like 5'8.5", I guess. Maybe I shrunk a little bit. You know, I don't drink no milk. I'm allergic to dairy, honey. So, you know, maybe I'm starting to be a little brittle. But I was like, okay, kind of weird. And so, we, you know, get a little comfortable, turn on the Netflix. And, again... I have no idea, I have no experience in hooking up. And so, I just kind of, you know, I'm sitting here, he's sitting here, and I kind of just turn over, and I go in for a little smooch, you know, a little smooch. Tell me why. He's sitting there like this. And I'm like, I have no idea what to do. Not one clue. I'm like, this ain't like the movies. Aren't you supposed to reciprocate? So I'm standing there like, is this okay? And then after a little bit of this, not know what to do, he finally like goes in for the kiss or whatever, and then immediately rolls over on top of me, right? So I'm like sitting there like this, we like making out or whatever, and then immediately the clothes, they start flying off, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm like trying to get my pants off and shit, right? I'm like, all right, this is happening, this is things are going. So we naked. Oh, I should have caught it. I don't know if it's just like a little gnat or if it's a mosquito, but if it's a mosquito, yeah, you don't know how much I hate mosquitoes. Like, I don't know if I'm allergic to mosquitoes, but I get those bites real bad. Tell me if you see it. So we sitting there naked, we making out, and immediately he's like, is going in. Get the condom. I can't get hard. My shit floppy. I was hard, condom on, but floppy. And I'm like, well, maybe it's because, you know, I can't tell if that's just a little floaty or are you a gnat? Listen. I'll try to ignore. So I'm like, oh shit, like I've never used a condom before. But I don't understand how it would be an issue because he's hot. He's cute. Like, he got the body of my dreams. He got booty. I'm like, damn. I'm ready, right? Nope. So he tries to get it in. He's sitting on top of me. He just starts bouncing. Pounding, honey. This is like 180 pounds. And I'm like, y'all, my whole pubic area pelvis was bruised for like a week and a half. He fucked me up. He talking about, yeah, this feels good, yeah. What feels good? I ain't inside of you. Even after the fact, he was like, yeah, you know, you entered me. Who, what, where, when, and how? My little fucking flobby ass shit ain't did not a damn thing. You was in your imagination, honey, because ain't nothing happened. That's why you were pounding fucking... Ooh, I thought, ooh, it was like he was pounding some dough. He was real needing that shit. I was in pain. In pain! Ooh, just thinking about it's kind of making me hot. I'm just playing. So, we tried different positions. It's not happening. At this point, I'm feeling a little bit embarrassed. I'm like, I've never had a problem getting hard before. Like, I don't know what the issue is. And so, I'm still trying to like, I'm like, maybe we, you know, let's just make out and let's just, you know, a little bit of foreplay. He over it. He just not interested at this point, I don't think. And he just starts talking. He tells me his whole goddamn life story. His ex, where he's been in life, his insecurities. And I'm like looking at him in the face, right? You know, eye contact and everything. He talking about, don't look at me, I'm ugly. Huh? Throughout the whole night, don't look at me, I'm ugly. What the fuck? We matched on a dating app. Your face was in the fucking photos. If you were ugly, why would I match with you? So then I was like, confidence is key. So I started becoming a little bit unattracted to him. And the whole time he's just talking. And then some of the things he's talking about aren't adding up to what he had told me previously when we were texting constantly and FaceTiming. So I'm like, now there are holes in your stories. You're lying to me about things. You're lying to me about when you were with your ex and when you broke up. You're lying to me about some things. Red flag, red flag, red flag. You want to talk about that ain't your height? Red flag. Talk to me about all your problems when we first meet? Red flag. Holes in the stories you've told me? Red flags. Okay? Now, I'm like standing up at one point, naked. And he's like, man, you're so confident. Excuse me. What you mean? He's talking about, I wish, you know, I had your confidence. Sweetheart. He, from the jump, was talking about his body image issues. He was fat. He was ugly. And I'm like, motherfucker, you have the body I wish I had. You thick. You nice. You got structure. I'm like scrawny with boobs and a belly, right? All my fat is like face and torso. Scrawny ass fucking limbs. He talking about implying that my body's ugly. And I'm so confident because I'm not ashamed to show it off. You hear them fighting out there? That's exactly what I wanted to do. Fuck some cat fighting. I'm like, the fuck? You mean you were just trying to ride my limp dick? Talking about I'm fat and ugly. You got some nerve projecting onto me, trying to make me feel some type of way. You go ahead and hate yourself. Don't bring me down with you. So, even though all these things were being said multiple times, mind you, he talked about my height at least 3 to 4 times. My body probably, that was the one time that I couldn't, recall, but he He probably did. We'll say for the story's sake, he did it like another time, you know. I was very calm, cool, and collected. And I thought God was on my side and he was making everything okay for me and making me comfortable because I needed to experience this moment and I needed to have this. This was my moment to grow and lessons to be learned. And I was very, very thankful, praying, thank you, Father. And fast forward to the present day, today, I think maybe I disassociated. But I felt fine. But now that I'm thinking back, I do have another experience, which is my first official date, which would have been good to talk about here, but I kind of forgot. We could. That's a whole nother story, honey. Let me know if you want to hear that shit, and we can bring it up. I think I had disassociated. I think maybe it was too much stimulation for me, and I kind of blanked out, and it like put me in an extremely calm and tranquil state. And so I was feeling a little bit kind of sad that I couldn't get it up, and a little bit embarrassed, and I just really didn't understand. And the night ended there. He kept apologizing for, talking a lot and talking about all his problems and talking about all the growth he wanted to be doing. And I was like, no, you're good. Like, it's cool. And so maybe fast forward a day or two, I hit him up and I'm like, you know what? I don't think this is going to work out in a romantic sense. I clearly couldn't get it up. At the time, I thought you had to be categorized as a gay man, you had to be categorized as a top versus a bottom. So if you're unfamiliar with those terms, a top meaning you do the penetration and the effing, versus being you do the penetrating and you want to be penetrated, and then the bottom, you get penetrated. And that's it. Like, that's what you are. And that's what you're into. And so I was like, maybe I always thought I was a versus, or I at least wanted to be because I thought it was fun to, bat and be a receiver. But I was like, maybe I'm not a top like I thought I was. And you're just the bottom, so two bottoms, what the hell are they supposed to do? Rub butts together? What the hell? And he tried to kind of like, it's okay, I could talk, or I could do this, or I could do that, like, we'll make it work. And I was like, no. Like, respect my decision. He got pretty mean and aggressive and super inappropriate and treated me like shit. And back then, I very much was afraid of confrontation, didn't want any bad blood between myself and anyone else. I wanted everything to be good. It's blinking, but I'm not sure why. And so I did my very best to continue communicating with him, and that was a mistake on my part. Apologies if there was a cut. My card was full. This shit like 30 gigs. Goddamn. I realized that continuing my communication with him and allowing him to belittle me and treat me in a disrespectful manner and an aggressive manner was the wrong thing to do. I should have told that bitch to take a motherfucking hike. But again, I believe it was a lesson and a blessing in disguise. It taught me that I do not have to sit there and take that kind of behavior and those actions. And I was also able to see his progress and his growth once, I did stick my ground. And I didn't back down. We did not date. We did not continue our shit. I was like, we could be friends, but ain't nothing else. And I was able to see him really get the body that he was looking to get. He really worked hard for it. started dating, got a healthier mindset, and I'm happy for him now. And I hope that he's in a good place. And I was able to watch that growth because I kept that communication with him, which now in days I would not have. I probably would have blocked the motherfucker. But being able to see his growth made me realize it wasn't me. It was him. It was never me. It was him. And if you want to talk about like the limp stuff and how that went and how that's going, let me know. We could talk about that in another episode. And with that, that is my first experiences with dating apps, the gay community, and hooking up with a man for the first time. Thank you, y'all, for tuning in to episode 2 of Melancholia N Haloes. What it do? So fucking excited, y'all. And wait a minute. I'm pretty sure I had said in the beginning that we were going to touch on self-love. A little bit of a recap. So what all that taught me with starting to date and meeting a guy for the first time and trying a sexual experience for the first time was it taught me that if you don't love yourself, you could not love other people. If you don't appreciate and respect yourself, you are not going to appreciate and respect other people. If you have racist preferences and underlying tones in your behaviors, you're gonna attract negative ass fucking people. And you're gonna attract negativity in your life, and you're not going to be able to accurately live out and seek happy and healthy relationships because it's not something you're capable of doing. If you hate things about yourself, you're going to project and attack other people for those things. And those experiences were lessons that I do believe I had to learn, and the universe made me learn them and gave me the opportunities to do so. And what that helped me with is self-love and respecting myself, but most importantly, for me specifically, it helped me realize that people's behaviors and actions towards me were not a reflection of who I am as a person. It was not about things that I did wrong. It's them. It was them. If I truly knew that I did nothing wrong and I was not at fault for the way they were treating and acting me, towards me, then I should not sit there and evaluate every little single thing and make assumptions about what was wrong with me. Wasn't me. It was them. And they love to tell you it's not them, it's you. And that's on being in a motherfucking healthy mindset. These lessons and these experiences were needed for me to know that I was second guessing myself when I shouldn't have been. It was needed for me to know what a healthy mindset looks like, feels like, and how you act and present yourself when you are in a healthy mindset. And when people are not in a healthy place, what do they look like? How do they act? What are their behaviors? What are their patterns? Because there are patterns. And once you figure those out, you're able to spot them. And they're not able to manipulate you, to gaslight you, to make you feel like it's all on you. And once they know they can't get over one on you, they'll leave you the fuck alone. Because if they look at someone and that person is able to turn that shit around, hold a mirror up to them, and reflect that shit right back, you'll scare the fuck out of them. And that's the end of today's podcast. Thank y'all for tuning in to Melancholia N Haloes, episode 2. First time with a guy, dating, and self-love. Tune in next time, y'all. Thank you for being here. Later!